Every other day, your feed is absolutely flooded with claims that GPT-6 is dropping next month. You've seen the posts, right? They're saying it'll have a trillion parameters, it's going to achieve artificial general intelligence, and basically change the world as we know it. Look, if you are exhausted trying to figure out what's real versus what's just clickbait designed to farm engagement, you are definitely not alone. Welcome back to AI Verdict, where we actually do the research so you don't have to. And hey, if you want to stay ahead of the curve, join our community of AI enthusiasts by subscribing to our free weekly newsletter. In this breakdown, we're going to cover the officially confirmed facts, the credible rumors, how GPT-6 actually compares to GPT 5.5, and the ultimate question, will it finally be AGI?
Okay, let's dive into this, because the internet rumor mill is operating at maximum capacity right now. And the standard narrative being pushed across blogs and social media is just wild. But when you contrast these wild claims with the meticulous research we've gathered, pulling from OpenAI's actual blogs, Sam Altman's interviews, leaked infrastructure data, and the latest benchmark papers, the reality of GPT-6 is way more interesting and honestly much more grounded than any of the hype.
So, point one, the factual baseline. And before we go any further, we need a serious reality check. Here is the biggest secret about GPT-6, the part that literally nobody is leading with. As of today, OpenAI has not officially announced GPT-6. There is zero official spec sheet, there's no confirmed parameter count, no release date, and there certainly isn't a system card. Every single headline you see screaming about a leak is just somebody piecing together offhand CEO comments, tracking data center buildouts, and guessing based on past trajectories.
Which brings us to the actual timeline of where we stand today. The latest frontier model that OpenAI actually shipped is GPT 5.5, codenamed SPUD, and that launched on April 23, 2026. That is our current reality. So if we want to figure out what GPT-6 will actually look like and when it might drop, we have to look past the hype and carefully line up the hints against OpenAI's massive infrastructure buildout. When we do that, a very clear picture begins to form.
Point two brings us to extra goblins and memory. The real rumors kicked off in late April 2026 with this rather weird quote. Sam Altman was discussing a bug in ChatGPT and jokingly mentioned that GPT-6 should come with extra goblins. It sounds like a silly throwaway line, right? But industry analysts realize this joke actually implies a lot. It suggests that users expect a future model that is far more controlled, vastly more capable, and significantly less prone to those weird tangents or bugs. Essentially, we want fewer goblins in the machine.
But more importantly, we need to look at what Altman has explicitly stated. In his recent interviews, he pointed to a singular North Star for the next generation of models: infinite perfect memory and deep personalization. Right now, interacting with an AI is often like talking to a brilliant amnesiac. Sure, GPT 5.5 introduced basic memory toggles back in 2024, but GPT-6 is aiming to forge a fundamentally different relationship. We're talking about an AI that genuinely learns your preferences, your context, and your past chats across months and years.
Which leads us straight into point three, the agentic leap. Because memory is only half the equation, right? The other half is agency. While GPT 5.5 acts like a really helpful junior assistant that can use a browser and follow multi-step tasks, GPT-6 is rumored to push this much further. It's expected to act autonomously on your behalf. It won't just sit in the chat box waiting for explicit, step-by-step instructions.
So the crucial point is this entirely new workflow. Imagine just making one single request. Instead of you copying and pasting your calendar, your emails, and your documents into the prompt to handhold the AI, GPT-6 theoretically fetches all that context itself. It remembers what you told it last Tuesday and acts seamlessly alongside you. Listen, an agent equipped with that kind of memory isn't just a software upgrade, it's a fundamentally new category of product.
Point four, Project Stargate and the release timeline.
If you really want to predict when GPT-6 is going to release, you have to watch the infrastructure. OpenAI is partnering with Oracle, SoftBank, and Microsoft to build Project Stargate in Abilene, Texas. This is potentially the largest supercomputing project in history. To give you an idea of the sheer scale we are talking about here, the end goal for this facility is a mind-boggling 10 gigawatts of compute capacity.
To put 10 gigawatts into perspective, that translates to over 2 million GPUs. 2 million! And here's the kicker regarding the current status. The first Stargate site is already running what they call next-generation frontier research. That strongly indicates that the massive GPU-intensive training runs required for a GPT-6 scale model are likely happening right now.
But obviously, all of that hardware doesn't come cheap.
Industry experts, including Anthropic's Dario Amodei, estimate that the GPT-6 training run alone will cost somewhere between $10 to $20 billion. That's just for the training of one single model. The financial stakes at play here are absolutely astronomical.
So what does this mean for the timeline? It means that hardware is the ultimate bottleneck, not the algorithms. Based on historical pacing, most credible forecasts put the GPT-6 launch in late 2026 or 2027. However, that depends entirely on hardware construction hitting its milestones. If the data center construction slips, the model release slips. It really is that simple. Moving to point 5, GPT-6 versus GPT 5.5. Now what's really interesting here is the honest side-by-side comparison. Yes, GPT-6 will be substantially larger in parameters, and it will likely have an extended context window, though experts warn we're hitting diminishing returns there. We'll see incremental gains in reasoning for long, multi-step tasks and a huge upgrade to that persistent cross-session memory we talked about. But look at the bottom row. The most crucial difference is cost. While GPT 5.5 got cheaper to run, GPT-6's training and inference are going to be vastly more expensive, which raises a very serious question about who will actually be able to afford running this thing daily. And that brings us to point 6, the real-world impact. Assuming enterprises can actually afford it, McKinsey forecasts that generative AI will add trillions to the economy. We're looking at enterprise agents wired directly into internal docs and CRMs, auto-generating reports and writing code. We're talking about AI in science collaboratively proposing drug molecules, education tutors that remember a student's mistakes from last semester, and healthcare AI cross-referencing full medical histories. AI is basically shifting from a simple tool into a genuine collaborator, assuming, of course, that enterprises actually trust it with their deeply sensitive data. Which naturally brings us to the biggest question on the internet today. With all this memory, all this agency, and billions of dollars in hardware, is GPT-6 finally artificial general intelligence? To answer this, we have to define AGI properly. We are talking about an AI that matches or exceeds human performance on virtually all cognitive tasks, and that includes novel abstract reasoning in domains it has never seen before, entirely without human handholding.
And honestly, the actual benchmark data here is a bit of a narrative mic drop. Back in March 2026, researchers published the ARC-AGI 3 benchmark, which specifically tests pure novel abstract reasoning. On these puzzles, humans score a perfect 100%. But the top AI frontier models, the absolute best we have right now, score under 1%. Under 1%. This proves that while current AI systems are extraordinary pattern matchers, they are shockingly bad at genuine novel reasoning.
And the experts totally agree on this. Yann LeCun, the chief AI scientist at Meta, bluntly stated, "The idea that you'll get to superintelligence just by scaling up LLMs is complete bullshit and just never going to work. GPT-6 is still part of the exact same transformer architectural family. It just has more scale. Expert researchers agree that just throwing more compute at the same architecture isn't going to magically bridge the cognition gap required for true AGI."
In fact, if you look at a 2023 poll of thousands of leading AI researchers, they put the median estimate for achieving true human-level machine intelligence at the year 2047. Not next month, not 2026, 2047. We are looking at a timeline that spans decades, not just the next product cycle.
So putting all of this actual evidence together, what's the reality? Based on the data, the probability of GPT-6 being true AGI sits somewhere between 1% and 10%, centered around 5%. Now, why isn't it 0? Well, because emergent behaviors in large models have absolutely surprised researchers before, so we can't rule it out completely. But make no mistake, OpenAI's own framing makes it perfectly clear that GPT-6 is just another step on the path. It is not the final destination.
To summarize, the hype machine wants you to believe that GPT-6 is like being handed a magical starship that's going to fundamentally change what it means to be human. But the reality? It's going to be much more like upgrading to a much better laptop. It's going to be a powerful, incremental upgrade on a development curve that started years ago with GPT-1. The absolute smartest move you can make right now isn't waiting around for AGI. It's getting really good at using the powerful tools we currently have.
But before we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with a thought that almost no one is talking about. With the massive inference costs creating this looming access gap, and an AI designed to literally know more about you than your closest friend, we really have to ask, when an AI possesses infinite, perfect memory of your life, your workflows, and your habits, is the ultimate convenience truly worth the absolute surveillance? Let me know where you draw the line down in the comments.